Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on, everybody? This is Joseph Conlon coming to you tonight with your AEW Dynamite review on Wednesday, September 9th, 2020. And I feel like after 2 bad nights of professional wrestling, 3 for some people, a lot of people were not happy with the all-out pay-per-view. I was, but a lot of people weren't. But we had Raw on Monday, which was just so boring, and then last night's NXT was really boring as well. So we really needed a good show tonight, and I feel like AEW was an awesome show tonight. Well, not perfect by any means, but an awesome show. It's going to be a really fun review here tonight. I'm not alone. I'm with a good friend here from Twitter. He was actually at the All Out pay-per-view on Saturday. Ladies and gentlemen, Nathan Hansen. Nathan, how are you doing today, sir?
Good, how are you?
Doing good, man, doing good. So we're going to run down everything tonight that happened on AEW Dynamite. But first, before we do that, let's get into the discussion. You were at the All Out pay-per-view last Saturday. Would you mind giving us, like, an inside scoop of, like, what was it like in Daly's Place?
Alright, well, Daly's Place itself, it's attached next to where the Jacksonville Jaguars Stadium is in Jacksonville. It's a very, very small arena next to a stadium that size. But the environment itself was really friendly. The staff was great, even though it was a small capacity, 15% crowd. Everyone there was just super excited for the show, and the crowd was great. You go in immediately. You get your temperature checked through like one of those forehead scanners, and then that was around 5:30. And the kickoff show, the buy-in started at 7. And Jericho came out first, and he thanked everyone for coming to the show. And then they went into the buy-in, and pretty much everything everyone saw live on the pay-per-view we saw. But the reason why everyone was just so quiet by the end of the show was because we had been there from 5:30 to about almost midnight. So it was a really long night, but every single person there absolutely loved it, and it was a great time. And if anyone can ever get the chance to buy tickets to go see it while they're in Daly's Place, I 100% recommend it. It's 100% worth it.
I'm all the way here from New Jersey, but man, if the way you just described it, I would love to take a trip down to Jacksonville and go to Daly's Place for a pay-per-view. I put my mask on, followed the rules. I'm a rule follower. I would absolutely go down there.
Yeah, they were harsh on the mask security, but I guess that's a good thing. They really made it clear, like there are security guards in every section, and so basically how it was set up like a normal stadium. Like imagine going to like a football or a baseball game, but each section you could only enter through that section, and you could only go to the restroom closest to you. So Daly's Place, I don't know if people are familiar with how it's shaped, but imagine like a U shape, and then in the middle of the U is the ring, and then the stage. But on the other side, like one side there's a restroom over here, and in the middle, that's the entrances to where the fields are, like where they have the stadium stampede match. So the security, like they made sure everyone was wearing their masks, and the crowd, they followed all the rules, like wrestling fans, yeah, they can make jokes and they can be straight. They can chant things. Like I know tonight when Miro made his debut, fans were chanting Rusev, which they probably really didn't want them to do. But it's all in good fun. Like, and people were wearing WWE merch as well, but no one said anything. Like the environment was great. Is basically what I'm trying to say. Like there wasn't any cons except for the heat, but that's not in their control.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Before we got a lot to talk about on tonight's Dynamite, but really quickly, the last thing I want to talk about from Saturday, how is it like to be inside of Daly's Place? Like, what happened when the Matt Hardy incident happened?
That's a really good question, actually, because during the Matt Hardy match, like, the Big Swole and Britt Baker match, with the cinematic match, obviously didn't happen in Daly's Place, so during that match and the Matt Hardy and Sammy Guevara match, they were on the big Titan screen, the Titantron, like they call it, where the wrestlers make their entrance. Like they put it on that screen, and behind us, like I said, was the stadium. So they had the stadium open, and that's where they came out from. Like when Sammy came in through the cart and Hardy was following him, and they started brawling there. So the fans couldn't see it, but we had the Titantron on, and we could hear everything going on behind us because the camera crew was there and the carts were there, and you could even hear Aubrey. I forget what her name is, but the female referee that everyone likes.
Aubrey Edwards.
Yeah, Aubrey Edwards. Thank you. She was there and she was doing her thing. So, anyways, after that spot had happened, we heard the bell go off, and they immediately turned off the screen, the Titantron. So everyone was like, "Oh, it was a really quick match. So maybe it was just disappointing." But then Justin Roberts, he's like, "Ladies and gentlemen, there's been an incident," and that was while Tony Schiavone and JR, they were clearly focused on Matt Hardy, like talking about how Aubrey Edwards put up the X and how they were trying to make it seem like they were playing off that Hardy was injured, but they just didn't know what to do. So us in the arena, we were upset. We thought that the match was over. But about 5 minutes later, the Titantron turned back on, and Hardy and Guevara continued to brawl like by where Moxley makes his entrance. And they immediately, I guess Matt told after he was cleared by Tony Khan that he was told to like you can get 5 minutes in if you really want to. So that's when he did. They climbed the rafters, and then he pushed Sammy off, and that was the end. So they wanted to get like an actual match out of it. So once that happened, it was immediately clear that there was something wrong with Hardy because he was doing his delete chant, and he looked like he was rolling around and he was groggy, and everyone was thinking that he was really injured. So, and he had to be helped as soon as he came off of the rafters. He literally had to be helped by the medical staff backstage, and he almost passed out. Like it was clear that there was something wrong with him. So I'm really glad that he's okay because obviously he came out and he said something on tonight's show. But after that match, I forget what was on after that. I think it was Thunder Rosa versus Hikaru Shida.
Yeah.
But people's minds were definitely on Hardy. Like I remember specifically checking Twitter and refreshing and like DMing people who were watching the show like what the hell happened to Matt Hardy? Like is he okay? It was a scary moment for sure.
Still terrifies me thinking about it from what happened Saturday night, but that's a lot of inside scoop, and I'm glad you had a fun time at the show on Saturday night. But let's get into the show tonight for Dynamite. It opened up, with in-ring action. It opened up with Jurassic Express versus the Lucha Bros. Really good tag team match. This was I don't want to say a high spot fest, but these are really two high-flying tag teams with the Lucha Bros, Rey Fenix, and it's not Pentagon Jr. anymore. It's Penta El Cerro of the Lucha Brothers. They got rid of Pentagon Jr. Excalibur mentioned why that they crossed out Pentagon Jr. and he's Penta El Cerro, and it's the little things like that I really like a lot from commentary at the WWE.
I will say, like, a big difference, not to bring up WWE, but a big difference between AEW and a lot of other companies is they mention the small things. Like, they were the first to mention the virus when WWE would just pretend like it didn't exist. They mentioned how Pentagon couldn't have the name Pentagon anymore. Like, they know that we're smart fans. Like, they don't treat us like 5-year-olds, which I really appreciate. So, I mean, I really appreciate how commentary doesn't keep us out of the dark.
Absolutely. You gotta appreciate the little things that AEW gives us. But then after the match, no, not after the match, at the end of the match, the Lucha Bros hit their finisher on Jungle Boy. Rey Fenix dives over the top rope to Luchasaurus. Jungle Boy kicked out. So Penta El Cerro, he's panicking. He tags in Rey Fenix. Rey Fenix accidentally hit a Canadian Destroyer on Penta El Cerro. Jungle Boy rolled up Rey Fenix, and Jurassic Express got the victory over the Lucha Bros. After the match, There were tensions between the Lucha Bros. Eddie Kingston, the Butcher, and the Blade was there. They're like, what are you doing? We got to be better than this. Shake hands. Ray Phoenix refused to shake Pentagon's hand. Penta then pushed Ray Phoenix. And then at the end, they ended up shaking hands. Really good tag team match to start the show. I liked it. I thought the aftermath was great. Eddie Kingston is awesome. And the one line I remember is that Eddie Kingston said, I was never eliminated from the Battle Royal on Saturday. What did you think about this post-match with Eddie Kingston, the Lucha Bros, Butcher, and Blade?
I loved it. I think that Eddie Kingston, I'll talk about this later because I have a huge prediction for something coming up later, but I absolutely love what they're doing with Eddie Kingston so far. I feel like ever since he had that match with Cody, he's been doing great. And I love he's great on the mic and he's great in the ring. So I just think he's the full package, and I've got a huge prediction that I won't mention right now because it has a little bit more effect when we talk about it later. But I see huge things for Eddie Kingston this year. He's fantastic.
Yeah, this was great.
And that's a good point. He wasn't eliminated the proper way. So I honestly think that I don't know how they would do him and Lance Archer down the line, but I honestly think that when they do come up with a huge match for him, he's got to come out on top. He's impressing me.
Yeah. Matt Hardy came out next. He cut you could tell that this was not scripted whatsoever. This is from the heart, the passion, the care about Matt Hardy. We got big chants from the fans chanting, thank you, Matt. Thank you, Matt. And then Matt Hardy said, thank you for all the support and all the DMs and all the tweets on Twitter for his terrifying incident at All Out on Saturday. His wife, Rebby, was there. Private Party was at ringside. Matt Hardy said that he would not be Matt Hardy if it wasn't for the fans. And he's going to go home. He's going to recover. He's going to come back, and he's going to hunt for championship gold. Matt Hardy wants a championship in AEW. This was awesome. Matt Hardy was a great promo tonight. You could generally feel this. I genuinely felt it in my heart when Matt Hardy was speaking tonight. That I almost had a tear in my eye, to be honest. So this was awesome, and this was very real from Matt Hardy.
Yeah, I agree. Matt Hardy is fantastic, and I really cannot wait to see. I think if you ask me what they do with him down the line, I really think that they're going to introduce the FTW title. They're going to make that Brian Cage's title a legitimate thing down the line. And I feel like in a few months from now, if Hardy's healed enough, he doesn't shy away from extreme things. So whoever's holding that title, if it's still Brian Cage, or I think there's a chance that maybe Darby Allin could take it down the line, I feel like he would be a great choice to go after that title. Because I don't feel like him going after the world title or TNT title really makes that whole lot of sense because of how injury prone he is. But I feel like Hardy, he was speaking from the heart here, and it was really impressive to see how everyone had his back. It was really great to see.
Absolutely. Hey, Matt Hardy versus Darby Allin, bro. Take my money. That should be excellent if that happens down the line. We got Orange Cassidy, who came off the Mimosa Mayhem match against Chris Jericho. He went up against Angelico. 4 minutes. This really didn't mean much. Orange Cassidy wins with the Orange Punch. After the match, Santana and Ortiz attack Orange Cassidy with baseballs and socks and pipes. And then Best Friends came running out and said, Chuck Taylor got on the microphone and said, we're sick of this, bashing Trent's mom's car, beating up our friend behind. This has to end, and it will end next week. And then Trent says, you want to beat up my mom's van in the parking lot? Well, next week, just meet us in the parking lot. So we're going to get a parking lot brawl next week between the Best Friends, Santana and Ortiz, and this is going to be the end of this feud. Thoughts on this match next week?
I'm looking forward to it, to be honest. Like, I feel like Santana and Ortiz have really been underutilized, and I never would have put them in the inner circle, to be honest. I feel like they could have won the tag titles a long time ago if they had never been in the inner circle. But I feel like I've liked what they've done with the best friends so far. Like, if Cassidy, he needs to be by himself against Jericho. It made the story a lot better. But I feel like the best friends and Santana Ortiz, I don't know what's going to happen next week, but I honestly I hope Trent's mom makes an appearance. That would be really funny. If they beat him and they force Santana and Ortiz to apologize, I feel like that would be great. But I don't know. I honestly feel like Santana and Ortiz kind of have to win here because they got the win. They've been getting the wins, and they just need to continue to stay hot, in my opinion. The best friends are great, but I don't really see them as a serious tag team threat right now. So Santana and Ortiz need it more.
Yeah, I feel like the best friends, they're bulletproof. Like, whatever happens to them, people are still going to love Chuck Taylor and Trent no matter what. Santana and Ortiz, they actually cracked the top 5 in the power rankings for the first time since February. They're number 5 in the tag team division right now. And they beat them last week on Dynamite. I think it would be dumb if you don't give them this victory and keep that momentum rolling for them.
Yeah, I agree. And I will say, Orange Cassidy and Helico, it was a good match. Like, I don't know how many of you watch Dark, but Dark is AEW Dark on Tuesday nights. And Helico, he's really impressive. And they really, JR kept saying all night how he is a submission specialist. And I know he didn't really get any moves locked in tonight, but I feel like the Hybrid 2 in specific, another great tag team. They, I like how the way that Cassidy won with his orange punch, but and Helico, he didn't look bad. I feel like for his first match on Dark, he did really well.
Absolutely. Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford announced their best man. Who was going to be the best man in their wedding? They introduced the best man, and I believe the first guy's first name was Puff or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. He's like, yep, he's like, well, what are you doing here? You said I'm the best, and he said no. I said you're the best for subscribing to my Twitch channel. Now get out of here. And he was like, make sure you subscribe to my channel next month as well. And then
the Twitch jokes, they're really, really good, and we all know where they're coming from. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Next out came Brian Pillman Jr. I love Brian Pillman Jr. I think they're going to sign him to a contract soon, and I really think they should. But he came out and he said, Kip Sabian's like, I never said you were the best. I'm like, you're the best. And Brian Pillman Jr., he got disappointed. And then Kip Sabian finally said, this is the best man. And I totally did not see this coming. But we saw freaking Miro, a.k.a. Rusev, who came out with blonde bleach hair, and he cut a promo saying for 10 years he was stuck in the same black brass ring and the same ceiling. And now he's out, and that brass ring can go shove right up its ass. And we clearly know where he got that from. This was awesome. Miro is the best man. I'm guessing we're getting some partnership with him and Kip Sabian. I don't know what that's going to be all about, but the biggest story here is Miro is all elite. This is a home run signing by AEW and Tony Khan, if you ask me. Nathan, I want your thoughts on Miro.
All right, well, first off, I thought it was going to be Will Ospreay because he is from the same small town as Kip Sabian, I believe. I could be wrong, but I think they're from the same town. But I thought that because Will hasn't been really working a whole lot this past few months that it would have been him because he's also really good friends with the Elite. But anyways, I really enjoyed this too. I did not expect it to be Miro. I really like this signing too. I'm a little hesitant on how this is going to work out. I feel like they're going to tag, or he's going to do with what, who was it that was with Kip Sabian for a little while?
Jimmy Havoc?
Yeah, he's going to kind of do what Jimmy Havoc did for a while. He'll have a match against someone with Sabian at ringside, and then vice versa. But I feel like eventually they're going to have a match, and he's going to absolutely destroy Sabian.
Yeah.
Because, like, you can't keep him. He didn't get signed to be a sidekick. They know what they have in him, and they're going to use him.
Yeah, he's got so much potential in the world. I mean, this man should have been the WWE champion when Rusev Day was over. He and Aiden English should have won the tag team titles back in 2017 at Clash of Champions. Yes, I remember the exact show, people, and they dropped the freaking ball and they lost that match. And I remember myself being so pissed that him and Aiden English lost that match. I was beside myself.
Even The Undertaker, who faced him at some shitty Saudi Arabia show, said that Rusev should have won the WWE Championship. And if that's not highest praise, I don't know what else is.
Unbelievable.
Because what they had him do towards the end of his run with WWE with Lana and Bobby Lashley was so bad.
It was horrible.
I cannot stand what they do with guys towards the end of their run. It's just so frustrating.
It's just pettiness, dude. It's absolutely pettiness.
But I'm happy for him. He said he's elite. So is that what he said? He's assigned. And they put out an official statement saying that he signed with them. So I'm excited for him, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what he can do down the line.
Absolutely. We got a tag team no disqualification match between Chris Jericho and Jake Hager versus Joey Janela and Sonny Kiss. Nothing much special here. It was fun. There was a trash can. There was a chair involved. Janela got powerbombed through a table by Hager. That was probably the best spot of the match. But then after the end of the match, Sonny Kiss was going to the top. Hager caught him, put him in a chokehold. That was it. And then Chris Jericho said that himself and the brick wall, Jake Hager, they're a force to reckon with, and they could be down the line AEW World Tag Team Champions. What do you think of this match with Jericho and Hager against Janela and Sonny Kiss?
So I'm going to say two things. One, I don't like the pairing of Joey Janela and Sonny Kiss a whole lot. I remember going to Bash at the Beach in January in Miami, and Joey Janela had a match against Ray Phoenix. And he beat Ray Phoenix in 10 minutes. And he also had a match against Moxley at Fyter Fest in 2019. And he had a match against Jericho as well. So I don't like the direction that they're going right now with Joey Janela. I feel like it's not leading anywhere. And I feel like if there's anyone down the line who could leave AEW, because it's going to happen eventually, I think Janela could be one of those guys.
Yeah, I think so too.
I don't like what they're doing with Janela. He's too popular to be in a tag team with Sonny Kiss. Nothing against Sonny Kiss. I feel like Sonny's really good at what she does, but I don't see it. And as far as Jericho and Hager as a tag team, that's not what I would do with them, but I absolutely like the pairing. What I would have done with Jericho is I would have had him face Guevara. I feel like that would have been fantastic. Because Sammy, to me, I feel like Sammy, he needs to be a face. Because the people love him, and I don't understand why he keeps losing big matches in feuds that he's in. But FTR versus Jericho and Hager, that's going to be good.
That's going to be really good. I don't care
where that is. If it's at the pay-per-view, the next pay-per-view, or if it's on some, I think it'll probably be on the anniversary show.
Yeah, I think so.
That they announced for a month from now.
Yep.
That makes sense. They're not going to win the titles unless they really decide to do like something huge with FTR and the Bucks down the line. But because that doesn't need the tag titles, in my opinion. But I think that Hager and Jericho as a tag team is going to be really well. Like, they're facing Private Party next week, which should be very good as well.
I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of FTR, they had a tag team celebration with Tully Blanchard beside them. Then we had tag teams around the ring. We had John Silver and Alex Reynolds. We had the Gun Club. We had SCU. Private Party was there. Luther and Serpentico were there. And Tully Blanchard said, with these two holding the top tag team titles in the world, they are the best tag team in the world. And it's not like they got it from a political agenda. They earned it. They defeated teams like SCU, The Butcher and the Blade, Private Party, Best Friends to get this shot. And they earned the tag team titles. And to people that want a shot at FTR, you're going to have to earn it. They said SCU would love to have another match with them, but 20 years ago, we wouldn't know who's going to win this match. Now they're out of their prime. Private Party, they had no comment on them. Gun Club, they said something about them. I don't remember. But then they said Jurassic Express. They're lucky enough to step in the ring with FTR next week, but it's going to be non-title. Then Luchasaurus gets in the ring. Jungle Boy jumps into the ring, and Luchasaurus starts brawling. Both FTR guys roll out of the ring with Tully Blanchard. Marco dumps a cooler over FTR. That was the segment. This was basically to set up Jurassic Express versus FTR next week. Non-title match, but this should be really good in my opinion, and take my money on this match.
Yeah, I agree. I think that FTR, the one thing you didn't mention is how this entire show, and I know people are really hating on AEW for taking whatever shots they can take at WWE, but they saying like they're the best tag team in all of the world, and how after they won the titles, they posted simply with a bunch of pictures of them holding the titles. They said, all worth it. And I couldn't agree more, because I don't know if you discussed this on your show or not, but I don't know if you saw how Vince McMahon wanted them to wear clown costumes their last month in the WWE and lose to, I believe it was Anderson and Gallows or whoever were the tag champions back in February when they were with the WWE. But the last few months of hell that they went through to finally get to where they are now, facing teams like facing teams like the Young Bucks, like SCU. If I were them, I'm on top of the world. I wouldn't be happier than where I am right now, is what I'm trying to say.
Absolutely. And you know what? They fit perfectly like a glove in AEW. You could just tell that they love being there and they love competing with competitive tag teams like SCU and Private Party. And they've had great matches. And I feel like this match next week with Jurassic Express, we got a big win against the Lucha Bros tonight. This is going to be a really good tag team match in my opinion.
Yeah, FTR is going to win, and I feel like Jungle Boy is going to unfortunately get pinned again. But I really think that it's going to go. I think if they give them at least 10 minutes, I feel like it will be a good match.
Yep, absolutely. We'll see what happens with that next week on Dynamite. We had Nyla Rose versus Tay Conti. This was okay. Nothing special again. 8 minutes. Nyla Rose won with a Beast Bomb. Hikaru Shida came out afterwards, pointed out the kendo stick at Rose, and that was it. So Nyla Rose beats Tay Conti. We're possibly looking at a Hikaru Shida Nyla Rose match again. I don't necessarily think that's going to happen at Full Gear. If anything, that match. I
think it's going to be Britt Baker versus Hikaru Shida.
Yeah, I do too, but The Nyla Rose match will more than likely happen on the anniversary show on October 14th.
And I don't like that idea. I nothing against Nyla Rose personally. I think she's great. She's dominant. She's what Awesome Kong should have been. But the women's division in AEW has always been interesting, and that's an interesting way of putting it, because they've had great matches and they've had absolutely terrible matches, and I think it's two sides of the same coin every single week. It's either really good or it's really bad, and I feel like I don't know why Shida came out there, to be honest, because what reason does she have other than the fact that Rose is number one on the rankings? But I don't know. I feel like this is something. If you had to nitpick one thing on this show, I feel like this was the one thing that really. And also, Conti, to have this be her first match, I don't know about that either. She probably could have gotten some wins on Dark first, but I think Nyla Rose is obviously going to win. Shida's obviously going to retain, but Nyla Rose is going to be a good match for Shida for what it's worth.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we get into the next subject, we're going to run down the lineup for next week's Dynamite real quick. We got Jake Hager and Chris Jericho versus Private Party, FTR versus Jurassic Express, Santana and Ortiz versus the Best Friends. We got Ivelisse versus Thunder Rosa for the NWA Women's Championship. I'm a huge fan of that. And we got MJF in action next week. And then the next subject we're going to talk about, because I know you got a lot to say about this. Wednesday, October 14th is going to be the 1-year anniversary show of AEW Dynamite. Again, October 14th, anniversary show, AEW Dynamite. That's going to be like a legit pay-per-view for AEW, I'm telling you guys right now. Announced for that show, for the World Championship, we got Lance Archer versus Jon Moxley. And I know, Nathan, you got some stuff to say about this, so the floor is yours.
All right, first off, I'm a huge fan of Lance Archer, and I feel like if there is a time for him to win anything, I feel like that is the time. Because you cannot have him lose against Cody and then lose against Moxley, because what else is there for him to do? So I feel like they've booked themselves into somewhat of a corner here, and if they decide to give it to him, that would be a really good thing. But what I would do is Full Gear is 3 weeks after the anniversary show. I would continue to hype up Eddie Kingston, having not lost that Battle Royal, and having him be added either into that match on the anniversary show or have him face whoever wins that match at Full Gear. And I would have Eddie Kingston win the AEW World title against whoever either in the triple threat or against the winner of Moxley versus Lance Archer at Full Gear. Because I just see so much in Eddie Kingston right now, man. With his little faction going and his way on the microphone. And there's so much more you can do with Moxley and Archer. You can have Archer face Brian Cage because they hyped that up as well. So I feel like there's a lot of things that they could do, and I kind of want to see a new world champion at this point. I really like Moxley, but who they put him in the ring with, I feel like he's been dominant enough for as long as he's had the title.
That's a bold prediction right there. Eddie Kingston as the new world champion, that is absolutely bold in my opinion. But for me, I guess it's too early to predict this match. I thought it was going to be at Full Gear. If it was at Full Gear, I might have predicted Archer to win this match. But since it's going to be on TNT in the anniversary show, I'm going to go with Jon Moxley to retain the title. Hey, bro, you might have to head down. You might have to go back to Daly's place for the anniversary show because that's going to be a great show.
I'm thinking about it, to be honest. I'm definitely gonna be at Full Gear 100%. I've already talked about it with my dad, and he had a good time as well. So as long as it's on a Saturday again, and November 7th, I believe, is a Saturday,
yes,
I'm definitely going to try it. And I feel like a month from now, they're currently at 15% capacity. If they can get a little bit higher than that, I feel like if they get to like 30 or possibly 40% capacity by November, that would be fantastic because it's a great time, and I'm 3 hours away, but it's worth it, man. And to see that match, I feel like would be great. And I don't know, and another thing, I feel like you were saying earlier how the anniversary show, they're going to make it like a pay-per-view. They need to do something big on that show. And I feel like a title change or a huge debut, like maybe a Nick Aldis or, I don't know, Cody returning or something like that needs to happen.
Yeah, I could absolutely see Cody returning on that show on the 14th. And then we got the main event for the TNT Championship. Speaking of Cody, we got Cody's brother, the Natural Dustin Rhodes, challenging Brody Lee for the TNT Championship. We got a big man match, a big, colossal, two big giants going at it. If you look at it, Dustin Rhodes is a big man, dude. He is a huge man. He's almost taller than Brody Lee is. This match was awesome, in my opinion. I really love this match. This was physical. Dustin got a sunset flip on Brody Lee. And the fact that they were able to pull off a sunset flip for those two big guys, I was super impressed by that. And then the hard hitting during the match, Dustin hit a crossroads. They both got in each other's face, punches. Brody Lee hit two super kicks at the end. Discus clothesline, retained the TNT title. John Silver was out there with them. Then Dark Order came to celebrate. Colt Cabana was out there first. And Brody Lee immediately kicked out Colt Cabana, which I found really interesting. And then they threw QT Marshall in the ring. They got the Dark Order, lifted Dustin Rhodes up, and Brody kicked him right in the nuts to go off the air.
I feel like Cody, for a second I thought Cody was going to return right there, but JR said that there was going to be that Cody was going to do something post-match. So, yeah, that didn't happen. But I enjoyed the match. It was really good.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you see... Now, we got a little bit of time here before we go, but do you see Cody getting the TNT title match at the Full Gear pay-per-view? Or do you see it being possibly Colt Cabana?
Honestly... Cody's definitely going to get a match with Brody Lee again. Whether that's at Full Gear or if it's at on the anniversary show, I don't know. I would do it at Full Gear because the longer Cody is out, I would keep him out until the anniversary show. Like maybe have Colt Cabana get a title match at the anniversary show and lose, and they go to attack him and have Cody come out and make the save or cut a promo on the screen. I feel like Cody's definitely getting his match again down the line because even if he doesn't win, and I kind of don't want him to win because what are they going to do? Are they going to do more rematches or more open titles every week? I don't know. I don't know. I feel like Cody's definitely getting his rematch either at the anniversary show or at Full Gear.
We'll have to see what happens, man. We'll have to see what happens. I thought this was a really good show tonight. I enjoyed myself for the 2 hours. Did you think it was a good show tonight, man?
Yeah, it was a great show. I would give it an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm there with you. And ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up the AEW Dynamite review here on the channel tonight. I want to thank you guys for watching this review tonight. If you have not already, subscribe to the channel for the rest of the content for the week. Make sure to leave that comment down below what you thought of tonight's episode of AEW Dynamite. And then hit that like button if you liked what I and Nathan had to say about tonight's Dynamite show. Follow me on Twitter, @Colin_Joseph. Where can they follow you on Twitter?
You just leave my link in the review, but it is Nathan H 1998 on Twitter. But yeah, I had a really good time, and I really appreciate you giving me the invite.
Anytime, man. I wanted to have you on the show tonight, talk some AEW, and I'm glad you had a great time. You were a great guest.
Yeah, I feel like we should talk about how awful Raw is one night. That would be interesting.
Well, the next time we do this again, we'll shit on WWE. How about that?
Yeah, that's always very easy to do at this time, unfortunately.
Yep. This is Joseph Conlon. This is Nathan Hansen signing off. I'll see you guys tomorrow here on the channel, and have a good rest of your night.